For somebody to say not to judge, you're out of the league with what the Bible is simply trying to produce. How do we as Christians know right from wrong and know when to avoid things if we don't judge them? So there's numerous verses in the Bible on dealing with judges and judging. Does anybody know what the 7th book in the Bible is called? Judges! We've got not just a verse, we've got not just a chapter, we've got a whole book in the Bible called Judges. And Christians want the audacity to look us in the eye and say, don't judge, brother. They've got to deal with the whole book. Once again, the purpose of them saying judge not is because they're most likely hiding some sin. So don't judge me, brother, and I won't bring up your past either. You know, fine, bring up our past. But the bottom line is, I've judged myself, I've pleaded guilty, it's before God, the beam is out of my eye, I want to take that mote now out of your eye. I can see clearly now. I can see clearly, I can now remove that mote. So there's numerous verses in the Bible and examples of Jesus Christ talking. He said, don't cast your pearl before swine. Well, you'd have to make a judgment to know that this person is a swine and is unworthy to have something holy. You have to judge the situation. You have to judge the individual and conclude and discern this guy is a swine and he gets nothing holy. And so it takes judging to do so. There's a lot more verses in the Bible, and that's just simply using the Bible as a guide. To get into some practical things on judging, there's a verse, that we go to court, we stand before a guy who's dressed in a black robe, and his name is the judge. He judges. For people to say, for us not to judge, is absolutely ludicrous with reality. We live in a place where a man will judge another man, and we accept that. You might sit in a jury, and a jury's job is to listen to crimes committed and to figure out if this guy is guilty. You judge the person. Judging, even in the practical realm, is normal. Anyone who says, I don't judge, is a flat liar. Because realistically, they're even judging you as they're talking about you. They just aren't honest with it. They're not being honest with you. When we have an election coming up, people are judging. I like this candidate, but I certainly don't like that candidate. I don't like him at all. They've judged. It's hard for them to admit it, but they've judged. I like his principles. I disagree with this person. Trouble all over him. They judged the matter. And so there is, even in a practical sense, people judging. Police officers have to judge. This guy looks pretty suspicious. I'm going to follow him. People inside of stores, this guy looks suspicious. I'm going to follow him. You can't blame them. I can't blame a police officer if they see a guy like me walking around to look at me. I look suspicious. I don't blame them. I understand. They have to judge it. We live in this society where people judge all the time. The problem is, what is their standard? As found in John 7:24. When you judge righteous judgment. Our standard is this. I don't believe homosexuals are wrong because they've done something to me. I've never had a homosexual ever wrong me in business. I've never had a sodomite ever do anything to me, not that I'm aware of. I've never thought of being a homosexual. I've never entertained the thought of being with another man, awake or asleep. They've never done anything to me. My stance against sodomy has nothing to do with me. My stance on sodomy has everything to do with God's standard. And so because of that standard, I draw the line in the sand and say, you're an abomination and a possible reprobate if you continue. And so that's my stand. God says fornication and adultery is bad. That's my standard. not what is politically correct. This is our standard. This is how we judge. I don't judge based on feelings or emotion or what I think is right, or I'm going to flip a coin. This is my standard right here. This is where I judge. So if I judge, this is what I'm looking for. And I encourage you to do that. That's how you fulfill John 7:24. That you judge righteous judgment. But we are told to judge. There's numerous verses in the Bible to judge. I can share with you more verses, but my voice is kind of given up on me, and I've got to save some for tonight. But I just encourage you, just those verses that we went through briefly, you chew on. They're there. It doesn't take a genius to figure this out. You don't need to know Greek or Hebrew to understand God is pro-judging. Oftentimes you can get guys caught up in arguments over Greek and Hebrew that they kind of, forget that the Bible, you don't need to understand the Bible by knowing Greek and Hebrew. Otherwise, what's happened is these guys are starting, unbeknownst to them, a new dark age. They have taken the Bible away from the common man.